Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time to Salt Lake City, and I love it, so here I am. Let's see, I better get the... Okay, I'm going to start right back from when I was small, and I'll give you some of my background. And right now, I have my home is in Manhattan. I studied industrial design at Pratt in Brooklyn. I grew up over in New Jersey, over in Kearney, and I was born in Newark, New Jersey. So that's all the really early stuff. What I'm going to do is run through fairly chronologically some of my my important work, and I want to talk about sports in particular, and I want to talk about visual communication in particular also. So this is my my website actually, and it's a spiral that's chronological. It starts with work that I did at General Motors when I was actually a student, and goes up as far as the Olympic program. So I had some good experience actually before I went down to Mexico, and I'll talk about that in detail because it's important. And this is the work that I've done since Mexico. So I've had a long career, and I'm a happy designer. So I'm going to start back when I was really a kid, about 5 years old or so, and I had a grandfather. He was like my favorite guy in the family, and he was an engineer on the Lackawanna Railroad, and when I was a little kid, he used to tell me stories, and he had good stories. He was in the Spanish-American War. He went out to New Mexico after the war, and he actually met Pat Garrett, the guy that shot Billy the Kid. So he had some pretty terrific cowboy stories. So I didn't know what graphic design was, and so that's him. And that's me that's what I thought that would be a good idea. I was the kid in the class that could draw, which I imagine a lot of you have been also who are in design. My father was a fisherman. This was a really good experience for me because I spent a lot of time on the Atlantic Ocean, and it's, the things that are on the sea, the compasses, the knots, the flags, all of that kind of no-nonsense design is really beautiful, and it made a very important first impression on me. I was in a boys' club, got into boxing. I think I had 3 fights, and in my 4th fight, I discovered a counterpunch, but it wasn't my punch. So I figured that, like the cowboy, that's probably not a great idea to continue that. I think the first thing that I remember seeing that really gave me a sense of graphic design was the Los Angeles Rams football helmet. And I liked the team at that point. I mean, I'm living on the East Coast, but I really liked that team. And I liked their quarterback, Bob Waterfield. And I wanted to get his autograph. And I knew he was married to Jane Russell, so I had an idea. I drew a picture of Jane Russell and sent it to her and asked if I could get her autograph and also her husband's. And it's not a bad idea. And, she sent a letter back, and this was one of those moments that really gave me a sense of that I was doing something that might have had some value to it. She said, "Thank you for the sketch. Your work shows definite promise. Keep up the good work." And she signed it, and I got Bob. At that point, when I read the letter, Bob Waterfield's autograph wasn't that important anymore. I did work in factories in my last year of high school, and in my first 3 years actually of Pratt. I worked summer jobs, night jobs, and that would be like 7 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week. And it was really hard work, and it was a good experience in another way because I realized that there were people in these factories that got as good at what they did as what Messi does in soccer. They were really some pretty interesting experiences that way. Of course, it gave me a good dose of politics, and the whole experience was great, and I could pay my way through school. I wasn't a good student, I'll admit to that, but I was a popular kid, and this is my first presidential poster. I ran for, and my friends still believe I spelled pants incorrectly on purpose. No, not on purpose, but I did actually win my name. But I won the election, and then I was interviewed by the school newspaper, and like I said, I wasn't a good student. I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do, and everyone else had the vice president was going to West Point and so forth. So when it got to me in the interview, I said, well, maybe I'll follow my art. And then when I read it, it looked like, I was doing something. So I thought maybe this is a good idea.